Hi, welcome to episode 3 of World of Gaming. Today, we're discussing Breath of the Wild. My name is Cornelius, and this is my co-host,
Tilda!
Now we're talking about Breath of the Wild. Going from Skyrim, Breath of the Wild, still open world game.
Yes.
A lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
It's like 3 years old.
Yeah, actually, almost exactly.
Oh my god. It feels like it's yesterday since I got the Switch.
Yeah, same.
Seriously, it's so weird. It's that old?
March 3rd, 2017.
Oh wow.
This is the first time we talk about a game that we both have played for more or less the exact same amount of time.
Pretty much, yes. I feel like you've played a little bit more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually played a lot myself. And we kind of have very different experiences of the game.
Yeah, we have extremely different, actually.
Like, I was very slow in doing the actual main quests in the game.
Yeah, like, I wasn't quick myself, but I was way quicker than you.
Yeah, quite very quickly. And what I really want to discuss about Breath of the Wild today is, among many other things, is exactly how different players experience the game differently. At least one of those things I like to discuss about. I don't know, we got some things you want to discuss about too. We'll get along those lines as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to start out with that it's a goddamn good open world game.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. It's like just a testament of how just you and I just have so different experience in how we play the game. Just shows how well made the game how well made the game is in accordance to the idea of having complete player choice, freedom of going wherever you want to go about the game in whatever way you do. They advertised that really hard before the game got released, that you can do whatever you want, even going straight to the final boss, and just defeat him.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what?
And I feel like I did a more linear version, or was I the one who first tried it? Because we only had one Switch at a time.
Yeah. I don't remember who started playing the most. It just sort of went back and forth.
Yeah.
I remember my first experience and what I did.
I think I started because I wanted to and I was childish.
Uh-huh.
And I think I remember being super frustrated by how slow you were.
Yeah, I was very slow. Quite slow.
And I still am to this day because I had to force you. I wanted to talk about the Champion's Ballad.
Champion's Ballad.
I wanted to talk about it and discuss it with you so badly, and you got to it like a year later.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago since I played through the Champion's Ballad. It was like a couple of months ago, actually. That's how slow I am. And the game's been 3 years old now, and the DLC has been at least like a year and a half old, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I'm slow.
No, it's not 3.5.
No, the DLC is like a year and a half old.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the game was 3.5 years.
No. So, yeah, I'm slow. I'm sorry. But yeah, I finally got through it, and I like it a lot. You know, the DLC is great.
Mm-hmm.
Offers a lot more new things and fun challenges. Definitely the coolest boss in the game. Hands down.
For sure. But let's not talk too much about it, because we don't want to spoil too much.
Well, unless you're as slow as me, then who has not played it yet?
Now that Animal Crossing is coming out, people who have not played Switch before, because they might have played games like Stardew Valley and Sims and stuff on the PC or other things, will now get a Switch and then probably get Breath of the Wild.
I mean, it's irrelevant to what we're discussing that DLC 2 content is about. It's essentially still the same as the base game, just more.
Yeah. But it felt more repetitive.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. But that's not what the game made me feel in the beginning, that's for sure.
No, and I think that's why they could do it. Because when it comes to the world, I feel it's a repetitive game. But I think that they've managed to hide things in such a way and make the world itself and nature around it so intricate in a way.
Yeah.
Even if it's not too big, it makes it feel bigger and it makes the game feel less repetitive because you also travel specifically through different biomes at some point.
Yeah. different landscapes and environments and everything. It's like the game is repetitive in one sense, but only in so far we can say in real life that yeah, we see trees everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
But it doesn't get boring.
The story is a bit repetitive, but the characters have such vast and different personalities that the story is not repetitive. It's just the main storyline or main quest line, I guess I mean.
Yeah. It's just I think what really makes it feel like the repetitiveness of the game doesn't feel old is because how much they have polished the game on a base level. The game feels extremely polished and really well done, and that has to do with the physics engine. I genuinely feel like that a lot of the enjoyment we all get from Breath of the Wild is just the fact that the game has a logic to it, rules that you can follow and take advantage of at any point. So despite the fact that we have this same four enemy types, or three enemy types, right? The Bokoblin, the Moblin, and the Lizarphos, and then more like boss type of characters and slimes, like that's not as important. It's still interesting to do combat. It's still interesting to encounter them several different locations because there's so many ways to play with the same encounters. The game not just offers you in the sense of exploration where you can go, the sense of choice, but also in the way you want to approach combat and enemies and areas. Like, it seems like the theme of the game, what they was going for, is the player choice freedom in every aspect, not just exploration. Combat is the same. You don't have to always go guns blazing, swinging head first. You can sneak, be stealthy, or you can be creating traps and contraptions or lure the enemy somewhere, or you can push boulders down if you see that there's elevation there. You can use magnesis to use the objects near them and use them against them. You can make
freeze them.
You can freeze them. You can put them on fire. You can freeze an item, or can freeze their item, and then you can use them against them. Like, one of the funniest thing I ever done is that Bokoblin picked up like a rock or like a keg and tried throwing it at me, and I froze the item right before he threw it, and he just looked so confused.
Because you can stop time essentially.
Stop time, and you can also use the bombs for your advantage. Roll it down a hill, or use them throw it at them, or
there's so many options.
There's so much variety in just the same encounter over and over.
And another thing that I feel is that you like the animation of the fight itself seems interesting. Like, it's not overly flashy and it's not boring. It still feels satisfying.
Yeah, everything you do is satisfying. The flurry rush, the parry is all like pew, slow motion. The quick time arrow and like the bow thing you can do is all feel good.
But even if you don't use those things,
yeah,
just throwing a bomb at enemies and see, like, for instance, the Bokoblins, the like base enemy.
Yeah.
See them flying because of a bomb is funny.
And also the fact that they put in so much care in the enemy AI, Like, the enemy feels alive, like creatures in the world, like they belong,
Yeah, did you know that? Because for people who haven't played Breath of the Wild, it's more of like a cartoony styled game.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. It's more cartoony. So the bombs don't go off in like big explosions, but more like a blast of energy.
Yeah.
And did you know that, was it the Bokoblin who picked himself in the nose? It was the Bokoblins, wasn't it? They have even put in a sound effect for that. How often are you close enough to a Bokoblin when they pick their nose to hear it?
Not often, but it's there.
Yeah, and they've had such a good eye for detail.
Oh yeah, they're very detailed about the game has a focus on few enemies, but these enemies have really, really been detailed and polished and added so much personality to it. Yeah, it does get boring in the end. Mm-hmm. But I also appreciate how I feel like I keep discovering things about them, Even if I just killed a million of the same enemies. Like, the one time the Moblin didn't have a weapon, and he just walked over to a Bokoblin who was significantly smaller than him because he's a big dude, and just picks him up and throws him at me.
Yeah.
I laugh every single time that happens, that interaction.
Yeah.
The enemy using each other's weapons.
Like, I know that I know specifically the picking the nose thingy has been pointed out by another YouTuber before, but it's such a good detail.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow, they thought so much into this. They really polished the game, which makes sense why they delayed it. I'm happy they delayed
It
it.
feels like a finished product.
Yeah, it really does. Like, the enemies aren't lackluster whatsoever.
Like, the only thing I wish was that it was slightly, just a slightly hintly less empty.
The world,
Yeah,
I agree.
just slightly.
'Cause-
Not by a lot, because that would make it feel too small.
Because it clearly went by we want to polish certain aspect instead of trying to hit too many, trying to multitask too many things at once. We just went off Skyrim at the last podcast, and that was an example of trying to do too much at once. Breath of the Wild, as you see with the bokoblins and the enemies, the with
few
the nose
things
picking,
they have done, it's done so well.
it's done really well. Like, to me, it's like the physics, amazing physics engine. Like, I get people, if you watch speedrunners and you watch like people who like actively play the game still, they're breaking the game in one way, but it makes sense in sort of in the logic of the game. You know, they keep discovering new ways to mess with the game engine. And that's lovely. So fun to watch. There's just so much you can do. Like, I still think it's cool with the stasis effect where you can do it to a rock, right? You can give it momentum while it's frozen in time by hitting it, and when it gets unfrozen, it will shoot with all the momentum built up, and you can climb on top of it and fly, use it like a makeshift like rocket.
Yeah.
I love that.
I have never managed to pull that off because Link keeps falling off.
It's a little hard to do, but you gotta be at like a specific hang. You have to hang like specific on the side or something like that.
Oh, okay, because I keep falling off.
Yeah, which makes sense. You shouldn't be able to ride it like that, but there are ways to do it. But it's like stuff like that is so fun to figure out and do, and on your own, you know, you're just like, the thing it should work like that. What if I do this and it works? I'm like, whoa, you feel like
you have such freedom
Yeah.
to express yourself and test things that should be possible, and in this game, it often actually is.
And here's another testament of how good the physics engine is: the shrines.
Yeah.
There's like, how many of shrines is there? Like 120.
I should probably have written that down.
Yeah, we should have written that down. But there's like over at least 120 shrines around now at this point. And every shrine is only using the tools you were presented with from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because the way it's structured in a way you can go anywhere.
Of course, they do make you use like weapons or torches or the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
But of your special abilities, you don't use anything that you get from the main quest. You just get what you equip with during the essentially
First half an hour
tutorial,
of the game.
more or less.
All the shrines uses the same tools for completing, but their developers has managed to make at least over 120 different small dungeon puzzles out of the physics engine alone.
Yeah.
And that's mind blowing.
The only thing I don't like about that is that I kind of wish there was a little less shrines. Because I feel like the shrines are really repetitive. A lot of the puzzles in them feels the same. You do the same thing over and over again with the same result every time.
Yeah, but I think it was another. I've watched some sources that like it. When you really think about it, it makes sense why it is like that.
Yeah.
And that's less to do with the fact that the tool set isn't varied enough. It's more or less because you can't have a progressive difficulty curve in the shrines when the player had the choice of going anywhere. You know, if you,
yeah, it's just I kind of wish there was a little less shrines.
less shrines and maybe a little bit more elaborate puzzles at times, because a lot of them you can just kind of brain dead through.
Yeah, but a lot of the time in some of them, you don't use any of your weapons, nor do you use any of your tools. Putting even more of those in, for instance.
Yeah, that's not combat trials.
Yeah.
I would agree. That would be kind of
Like
cool.
the star one.
Yes, the constellation one.
constellation
I
one.
like that one. It's like the shrine is basically you'll get like a. It gives you no hints. You know, you get like a picture of like a constellation.
Overview of constellations,
Overview of
and then you get
constellation.
like some holes in the ground where you can put big balls.
And balls in.
And then you see some of the constellations on the wall. And you have to figure out what that means.
Yeah.
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 We're not gonna give you the solution, but
No.
it's essentially has to do with these constellations, and all you do is pick up a ball and put it in the right hole.
Yeah,
depending on the constellations.
Yeah, you have all the puzzle pieces, right? But it gives you no direction how to arrange them. That's what I
Yeah.
feel like a real puzzle should be. Like past Zelda games had one major flaw, is that all of its puzzles was essentially just, well, I gotta whack a diamond somewhere,
Yeah.
or there's a switch somewhere, or
I haven't gained this.
I haven't gained
Tool
the
yet.
item yet. But that's not a puzzle. That's like taking like puzzle games where you have to arrange a picture where you lack 10 pieces. It's not a puzzle.
As long as you have those 10 pieces, it's super easy, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like a kid's puzzle.
It's like a kid's puzzle. It's like fake difficulty.
But I do feel like it's not the worst idea, because I feel like not everyone wants a puzzle game, because if you did, you would go and search for those specifically. This is an open world adventure game.
Yeah.
And the only reason there are puzzles is to make it feel different, make it feel like it's testing you in certain different ways, and it makes it more enjoyable for a bigger audience.
Perhaps you can argue, yeah, why the state of puzzles are even important, but I feel like it is important.
Yeah, I think it's
In
important
Zelda,
that it's there.
it's important.
It's been there since the beginning.
It's been there since the beginning. It's sort of like a puzzle. It can come in many variety of forms, but you and I both agree the Constellation Shrine is really interesting and fun because it challenges you, and sometimes
Once you know the solution, it's the easiest try.
it's the easiest shrine. But that's what I kind of like about
Yeah.
it. It makes you feel cool. It makes you feel like, yeah, I'm actually smart.
Yeah, because why it threw us off, I think, is because that's one of the first shrines I at least met that didn't use the tools in the same way.
Yeah, it's just
It was it was just a visual puzzle instead of like a tool-based puzzle. So I was looking around, running around, looking for a way to use my tools and abilities, and I was like, wait a second, there's something up here.
Yeah, and at least I think the shrines were a very good idea. However, the nature of which the game is built upon, of the freedom of choice and direction, they were limited in how difficult they can keep these shrines. Because what if, like, a difficult shrine that was meant to be the last one for some players, another player stumble upon it on their first outing in the first direction they choose? It's like kind of the problem they stumble upon in development. So they kind of had to make every shrine in the world sort of the same level, with the exception of few that was on the edge of the map that you can kind of predict that the players will discover later in the game, you know? So it was more limited in how difficult things could be. And I feel that's a shame. I feel like some could have just been harder. And I'd just like to point out that I feel like it's a shame, again, that it could have been more difficult. I felt like the game needed a sort of like a midpoint, you know, in the game, where all the shrines sort of got new shrines like popped up, and those were the more difficult ones. That's what kind of some of the DLC was for, but you know what I mean. You know, I felt like the game needed a little progression in the shrines.
I stopped doing the shrines after a while because they became boring to me in the long
It didn't
run.
challenge you enough, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been less, and then, as I say, the map sort of like got to stage 2, you know, and then more shrines came, and those are more difficult and more interesting and intricate.
And
know?
I barely did any of the combat shrines.
Yeah, I kind of like those, but that's because I love the combat system.
Yeah, I like the combat system, but I was more of the... I played Breath of the Wild like I play Skyrim.
Yeah.
I tricked the AI, or made my own way. Like, I played safe. Connie here would die way more often in certain battles than I would.
Yeah, I would.
I would take it one by one and take them out in a smart way, meaning he loves Master Mode. Me, who likes to take it slower and find other more intricate ways than to just barge in with my sword or any weapon available, don't like it because of the healing function.
Yeah, it ruins the stealth aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, and that sucks in my opinion. Master Mode is fake difficulty. I just like it because it's more difficult.
Yeah,
But
and
even
also
I just don't like
it feels a little more rewarding because of the golden enemies and stuff.
Yeah, I like. The only reason why I wanted to really go into master mode was because I wanted to experience all the hardest enemy on the hardest difficulty. But now that I've completed the game on master mode, I want to go back to normal mode because then get more freedom of option of how I deal with enemies. Because in master mode, you're forced to deal with a head-on strategy. Because if you're not doing it, the enemies will regenerate everything, and you'll lose all the items by the time you're even killing them. It's a flaw. Master mode, in my opinion, is unbalanced and not good for the game as it is. It only offers a challenge for some few players. That's how it is. It's not an optimal play for Breath of the Wild. That's just all I wanted to say.
I do appreciate that it's there for gamers like you, because just barging in the end would get boring. Now that there's a risk to it, that if you're not fast enough and barge enough, they will heal up again. It makes it a little more stressful.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah. It made some of the bosses more enjoyable, in my opinion, because they regenerate. But they made normal enemies more of a chore. Because even now, I don't approach normal enemies anymore. In the previous game, I did it because it was fun, because they actually, I can actually deal with them. Now I don't care. So yeah. However, I do want to talk about other aspects of the game.
Yes.
That is just not technical, because the game on a technical standpoint is doing really well.
Except from the AI does mess up a few times, but the way that the enemies are animated and stuff like that makes it more comical than annoying.
Yeah, it's the best.
Except from when it rains.
Yeah, it's the best designed enemies in Zelda so far.
Yeah, and the only real negative about the gameplay experience for me was when it rained and I couldn't climb, because this game has introduced climbing, and you can climb any surface more or less except from shrine and Sheikah surfaces, and a lot of those, the pillars and such, with the master cycle you can.
Yes,
I've tried. It's possible.
It's possible. And then rain is annoying. Why is rain a thing? It shouldn't be a thing. It's annoying.
Yeah.
They should at least like something like the climbing gear should at least be immune to it.
Yeah, or if you, instead of just making it completely impossible, make it harder. Like you slide down a little and you have to use more stamina. Don't make it completely impossible, because not everyone is using Revali's Gale. Connie over here barely uses any of the extra abilities you get from the divine beasts and doing the main quests. I use them. He has them usually deactivated at most times.
Yeah.
So for people who want to play it like him, it really ruins that aspect of the freedom of climbing.
Yeah, but I understand why it was in mechanically. So it sort of drove himself into a corner, because the whole source, the main quest line, relied on that mechanic. So you you had to have a linear progression through it. But I think that entire thing can just been done a little differently. Because why do you need to care so much about players climbing stuff when you could just make them out when the mountains were tall enough for you not to make them anyways?
Yeah, like the Great Plateau.
Or even if the players were to cook up something and were able to climb the top of these things, why would that impact anything? That would just reward the players in a cool way. So I don't really understand why the raining mechanic was implemented in that way. It's more of just an annoyance.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's you can't plan around it. Not like the lightning storm. You can plan around. The water one, or the raining, you could be climbing up a mountain, doing what you're supposed to do, and then suddenly it rains, and you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm just staying here until it's over.
Like, I get it for having that quest linear, but the annoying thing is the entire rest of the game is introduced in a way that you're supposed to be able to play it without following the specific laid out quest and path.
Exactly.
And this just takes that away from you again. It introduces the idea, and because that's where a lot of players meet their first divine beast, because if you follow the quest somehow or somewhat, that's where it throws you.
Yeah, it'll throw you to Source Domain first, but it doesn't make sense that Source Domain is the only divine beast questline that has that linearity to it, because it makes you approach Source Domain in a specific way, while every other city that you're visiting on the other divine beast, you can go any way you want.
Yeah.
So that's just dumb.
And I've realized, because the way of getting there feels really long to me, Source Domain is one of the most well-designed, prettiest in many ways.
Yeah.
It has like the biggest details in a lot of ways than all of the other cities and places you go. And I find myself never going there because I have this memory of how it was just hard and annoying to get there, rather than just walking through a desert or through like a valley area, or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel as easy and nice.
Yeah, it's
Even getting to the Goron village, Goron city, you know what I mean, is easier.
it's easier, and even that one sort of have this fake linearity to it that
Yeah.
you're supposed to actually get these fireproof potions.
But so many people don't follow that.
So many people didn't even know that was a thing. So a lot of people, like me included, had cooked up so much food that I tanked the damage all the way to the core
Yeah,
city.
instead of doing that, I don't remember how I did it. I think
You got the potions.
no, but I also think that yeah, probably. But I feel like I found clothing.
Yeah. Well, there is no clothing that helps you to get them only in the Goron City.
I thought that was just when you got like I knew you needed parts of it, but I thought that was
No,
the only time you needed the entire
The
was
entire
when
set.
it was when you did the Divine Beast.
Yeah, when you did a Divine Beast area, yeah, you need the entire set because that's the warmest. But from there on and out to the Goron City and a little bit further out again, you need at least one piece of it. But that's the only thing. Like if you can't have if you don't have at least one piece of the Goron armor, which you can only get in the Goron City, you will burn to death.
Oh, okay.
You can test that.
Then I remember wrong, probably.
You probably either got the potions or did what I did.
No, I got the potion. I know that I laughed at your way of doing it.
Yeah, you did.
So I probably got the potions then, because I just remember that I didn't struggle with the heat whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, I did, and it was really fun and rewarding once I actually got all the way through.
Yeah.
Seriously,
But
it was fun.
what I felt like was that I had slightly better time to just explore around, so I might have not taken the perfect path into the city. Connie had to run the right path because he had to tank.
I mean, is it dumb? Yes. Did it work? Yes. Is it dumb then? No.
But it makes it fun because it really shows the differences between me and Connie.
And many other people.
Yeah. And it's fun to see. Like, a lot of the things I do to him seems like it takes too long. It seems unnecessary. And a lot of the things that I see him do just sounds silly and too fast. And I'm like, you could have done this so much easier. Yeah, it would have taken longer, but it would have been easier or more thought through.
You know, it was actually pretty thought through. Just saying. You know what I discovered along the way tanking the damage all the way to Goron City? Is I discovered that if I chose a specific route, I could save a lot of food because I get to some hot springs that's located way out of the city. And when I was in the hot spring, I didn't burn to death.
Wait, you ran all that way?
No. It's actually some hot springs that's not above the city, but it's like below and on the path to the city. There's some hot springs there too. And I figured I can go in those. And then the water actually douses me and actually keeps me a little damp, a little of the way, so I can stock up with the food and stuff by burning it in the atmosphere, and then I could keep going. It's like for me, getting to the city felt like a huge puzzle. And when I finally got the armor, I felt so cool. You know,
I just walked up.
I planned the whole trip.
Yeah.
It was a very carefully planned thing, so it wasn't dumb. It was calculated. I felt dumb afterwards.
Exactly.
But that's what makes the game so great. I feel like Nintendo succeeded. There are some hiccups, like the Source Domain questline maybe could have been done a bit more freeform, and the rain that everyone hates. But the game is still a huge success in achieving that player freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression in your gameplay.
But there's another thing that I love about Breath of the Wild, and that is there are so many different valleys, and so like they have changed the terrain so much, like that there's so many hills, so many valleys, so many caves. It's not even deep caves, but you find random things everywhere, holes in the ground, ruins here and there. Things are scattered in such a nice, kind of hidden way. Like, yeah, everyone talks about how you can see one of the divine beasts. You can see the Twin Peaks, whatever they were called. You can see Death Mountain, and you can see the divine beast there. And I'm just like, Yeah, but when you actually get off the Great Plateau, everything is hidden again. It feels open because you're in an open area, but you don't see most of the shrines.
No.
There's a reason they've given you that little of those like light thingies, and that's why they also have the towers, is to give you that feeling over and over that, oh, I can see so much, but once you climb down again, it feels even bigger.
Yeah.
They really play with that
Altitude.
mindset. Yeah, that I can see everything, and you get down and you realize, oh, it felt way longer to get there because I had to climb and go down and climb again, and you know.
And also all the things you discover along the way. It's like your little nuggets of discovery here and there, all the way to your destination.
And I think that the speed they've let us progress through this land is well made. Like, it doesn't feel too slow and it doesn't feel too fast. Sometimes it might feel a little slow, but if you got a master cycle or you got a horse, it's not that bad. And the ability to use the paraglide,
Paraglider and horses, all to alleviate the strain of getting places.
And even 3 years later, using the paraglider still feels somewhat magical. Just flying off a tower is just as fun as it was the first time. Jumping off the Great Plateau with the Master Cycle is just as fun as it was the first time.
It's a great experience. Even though I've treaded this road 1,000 times, it still is interesting to me and fun every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the polish of the game really shining there.
Yeah.
The replay value comes from doing the same thing over and over again and still have fun with it. And that's what distinguishes it from open world games that's trying to distract you constantly on the way and not entertain you with the same thing like Skyrim does.
Yeah. But there's one thing I want to say about this, and that is they have been really good at hiding the franchise's story within this land.
The least story focused of all of them.
Yeah, and yet there are so much story about it and in it. You find ruins of things that you recognize from previous games and all of that scattered around the land of Hyrule.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I find that so funny because there are a lot of Zelda theory videos out there, but there are so many on Breath of the Wild that I keep seeing new things all the time, and I love to binge those videos.
Yeah, it's great. Breath of the Wild is the master of subtext.
Yes.
It tells you the story through its environment and the things that you do as a character.
Like,
instead,
it's almost too vague. Like, or not even that. Like, if you're a person who cares about story, you watch the videos, you check around, you talk with everyone. If you're just a person who likes the gameplay, you can finish a game and be blind to everything else. It doesn't distract you. Because to some people, that type of story distracts.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. I haven't even done all the memories. I haven't even gotten all of them, and I feel like it's not necessary to go get any of the memories. Yeah, sure, for the true ending of the game, maybe, but I'm not a completionist.
Yeah, the special ending.
Yeah, like, it's not that special, honestly. I already know what it is.
Well, that's because you see it through the eyes of a YouTube video, for instance.
Yeah, well, fine, but it's like...
For me, seeing it in-game, it felt different still.
Maybe if I do decide to actually do that, and I should go get all the memories of one, I can do that, I don't know. But I don't care too much.
It's different when you already know it. Come on, you're ruining your own experience. I'm joking. I'm literally going against my own point here. You don't have to. If you're not a story-based player, even if you like to check up the story later after you played it or watch other people's views on it, but you like to play the game without thinking too much about it, that's completely fine. That's what Breath of the Wild lets you do.
I find it more cool when I discover memories by stumbling upon it. That, I think it's cool. You know, like, I'm just doing my own thing.
Well, that's more or less what I did.
Yeah, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not even looking at the pictures, the hints of where it is. I'm just found it. I'm like, ooh, look at this. A little nugget of thing of storytelling right here.
Yeah.
But that's fun. I like that. And I wish it was a little bit more like that, actually. I kind of enjoyed that aspect of the game where you stumble upon something, not the game giving you slight direction of where it is. Because the game is already giving you direction. It shows you a picture. And sure, it's very ambiguous. You kind of have to bend there once to find it, but nothing beats the feeling of just stumbling upon a memory like that. And
Yeah.
you just sort of feel like you're actually Link in that moment. You're just like, wait a second, I recognize this area. Oh. And then you just get a flashback, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, or the area lights up, doesn't it? And you're
It
like,
lights up
what
too.
is this thing? And
What
you're
is-
like, oh, I guess that's a memory.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it should be that. And the only reason why I'm actually really interested in the story now is more because I want to see if I can use... I'm catching up because Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be more story-based, and which I'm actually kind of excited for, to be honest.
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, I really want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I want answers.
I want many things.
I want, first of all, this is supposed to be after Breath of the Wild. This is supposed to be after you have defeated this Ganon or this Malice, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping to see is at least a somewhat rebuilt Hyrule.
Yeah,
Like-
I felt that was lackluster.
Yeah.
I was
like-
hoping that was in the DLC. I'm happy it wasn't.
Now I am. Now that there's going to be a Breath of the Wild 2, I'm happy.
Yeah,
But I want to see that at some point.
that's what I wanted in the DLC, a post-game content. And I was mad I didn't get it in that way in DLC 2. But now that Breath of the Wild 2 is coming, I couldn't care less. I'm not just ecstatic about it.
Yeah.
It was actually the best decision they could have done, in my opinion. Because the point I made earlier in this podcast, in the very beginning, is that the game has an extremely good base. Now this is getting rewarded.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to get so many answers on both about the Sheikah, like what is happening to the Yiga clan after you defeat Master
Koshi?
Kosha?
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 Koga, Master
Koga.
Koga.
Tofu.
Tofu.
Master Tofu.
Master Tofu.
But anyways, the Master of the Yiga clan.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm excited to see if this happens so soon after the events of the first game, if you get to see the kids of that Sheikah guy grow up. You know, the one who almost gave the heirloom to the Yiga to save his family.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see his kids grow up.
Somewhat. I don't feel like the game's gonna be that long after.
No, but I'm hoping to see them again.
Yeah, see all the characters again and change.
And maybe they travel. Maybe they've grown up a little bit. Like, maybe it's like a few years later and they are a certain age where they're gonna look a little older.
Yeah, or like the and the Sheikah village is like expanded a bit, you know?
Yeah, or there are small settlements around. Like, you have Terrytown, which is one of the side quests, where you follow a guy building a little town. What if you see more of these similar little towns that other people have built?
And like they are cleaning. You can see people started cleaning up like the place where the Hateno village is. Started cleaning up like the combat area. You know where most of the conflict was happening. You know.
Yeah, for instance, or we get to see the guy who builds your house. He gets a shop, maybe. For instance.
Yeah.
I want to see them established. I want to see the world getting rebuilt because we like these characters, and these characters has personalities and a feeling to them, and I want to see this Hyrule thrive more than any other previous Hyrules in previous games.
You know what's kind of the sad part is? I don't think we're going to get like a Hyrule Castle Town again. Because at the Breath of the Wild 2 teaser trailer, we can clearly see this castle starting to float up.
Yeah.
So I guess we're not getting a castle town.
I picture they have rebuilt the castle town, and then it gets ruined again.
All that for nothing.
Yeah, but what we don't know if what if they haven't been able to get all of the debris and all of Malice away, all of that away from the castle, or rebuild the castle? Maybe there's like another castle town somewhere else, and this is still where the main things are going on. Or what if they have rebuilt the castle, but now suddenly it's doing like an opposite Skyward Sword? Everyone is like, what if this is happening underground? And I'm like, but what if this is happening in the sky?
Or both. 'Cause
Yeah.
it most likely is both. Because the teaser trailer happened on the ground.
Yeah. And then it floats up.
Mhm.
What if Skyloft is still there and Hyrule's castle is on his way up? Because Malice was there during Skyward Sword, so he would know that Skyloft exists, right?
I don't know. That's hard to say, you know. Because Skyloft is like... Ganondorf is like... By the timelines statement, born way after... And like... Skyloft was lost to history.
Yeah, but if Malice is properly returning, what if? What if we get to see something that remembers Skyloft? But because Twilight Princess as well has a sky city. It doesn't need to be Skyloft itself.
It
but
has a sky city.
It does
a
have a
city in the
sky city. Yeah. So why are everyone talking about underground? I'm saying what if?
Oh, then we have the Divine Base Varu. You know what? I don't.
They can fly.
Okay, so I just. It is. God, every time I talk about Breath of the Wild 2, I get all giddy because I don't even know where to start with what they can do with the world. You know, they can just do so much. They can do anything. It's like the world is their oyster because they have like built the world already. Now they're just putting new pieces in it. You know, and what do they change? What do they do different? What can be like? Are they adding actual dungeons now instead of shrines? Because it seems they've removed all the towers by the teaser trailer. We don't know if that means that this is what's going to happen. Is it going to go away from the technology aspect of the game and go more to like a magic?
I feel like we would know. I feel like maybe the towers got deactivated or maybe even they as well went into the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Or back underground. We don't know.
Yeah.
What if they took them down?
Oh, yeah, but what? But why though?
Or the Sheikah, after you beat the last Sheikah monk, what if he's like, you've finished everything, you defeated Ganon, we're deactivating everything again. The shrines and the towers will be activated once there's need of them again.
What if the Zelda, along with everyone, is like doing research on Sheikah technology to realize it's too dangerous because it has like an innate tie to Ganondorf or like Malice?
Yeah, or it's too risky because it can be overrun again.
You'd be overrun again, and they're like, okay, we can't have this sticking around again because this ruined us last time, so we need to like stop it before it even happens again, because clearly it could. But then again, why would they do this? If they think we've defeated Ganondorf or like Calamity Ganon for good.
Because they might know that Malice is not gone for good.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Because Ganon in this game looks like just a blight, just another blight.
Maybe they're going by the fact that...
Remember, what we see is essentially a body getting born from a little pouch of Malice.
Yeah, but okay, no, I think I've just sort of figured out the answer myself. It's like, oh, but sure they would take precaution because the same shit would have probably happened like 10,000 years ago, you know? Like they actually thought they were slaying the beast, but then thought of, no, wait, this thing is just reoccurring no matter what.
Yeah, like, this is a curse after all.
But
they might have killed Ganon, but history shows that Ganon is not the only villain in Zelda games.
No, it isn't. But I believe at least what the plot is going to be is that they're going to finally find the source of why he keeps coming back, and that is his corpse.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm hoping we get a smart Ganon.
I hope so.
I'm hoping this is not just Malice using Ganon's body directly. Like, I hope we don't just get Malice back.
No, I want an intelligent, smart, and cunning villain again.
Yeah, because Ganondorf has now, you have Bati or whatever. You have the...
Girahim sounds.
Yeah, you have the other enemies. But there's nothing like Ganon. Ganon is the third part of the Triforce at this point. He is a part of the Zelda trio.
Yeah, but I also miss having a game that focused solely on human Ganondorf. Yeah. We haven't had that since Ocarina of Time. Like every other game, it's always been a sub-villain, you know? Twilight Princess went Zant, then Ganondorf came and beat the one who did everything.
Wind Waker before or after Ocarina of Time?
It was after Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, because that's the last human Ganon.
The last human Ganondorf was Twilight Princess.
Twilight. Never.
Twilight Princess.
That was after that again.
Yeah, it was after that again. Like Wind Waker, like it was Ocarina of Time, then Wind Waker, then Twilight Princess when it pick up a human Ganondorf appearance.
Yes. I want human Ganondorf. I want him to be closer to Wind Waker's Ganondorf with Twilight Princess design. Mixed with the new
I'm digging
Breath of the Wild.
I'm digging the new design being based on Hyrule Warriors Ganon, because that's the best design. It's the best design.
I hope he looks more Gerudo-like.
Yeah, I agree to that.
And I kind of hope that Ganon actually died. Like, what I feel like. I'm not hoping. What I mean is that I think Ganon actually died because he might be trans, or she might be trans, but there is a Gerudo with a beard, looking more like a male, with more of a male voice, who gives you the female clothes in Breath of the Wild.
Stated to be Hylian, but I kind of don't quite believe that.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like it's still not going to be important.
But what if that means Ganon actually died? And his body is just now being puppeted.
Well, then I hope we got like a spirit Ganon I've seen some of the comics do. I want to see Ganondorf smart. I don't want, like, I'd be fine if the new Ganondorf is just a lich kind of villain. I'll be fine with that as long as he retains his intelligence.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, we haven't had a magic-based Ganon since Ocarina of Time, you know? That could be kind of cool.
Seems to be magic occurring around this thing. I'm just curious to see what that's out of Gerudo Valley. No, Gerudo City. Gerudo Town.
Yeah.
Wow, my brain went through different Zelda games there. But I'm hoping, or what I feel like there is that Ganon's soul might have left.
Yeah.
But didn't that die a long time ago, actually?
Ganon's soul?
Yeah, or Ganon stopped being Ganon a long time ago and just became a reincarnation of Malice in Ganon's body.
Maybe.
Meaning Ganon himself was lost to Malice, therefore aka dead. Meaning that another biologically born Gerudo male could be born.
Maybe. I feel it could hold water. I just feel like Nintendo ain't going to go there.
Yeah.
I feel like they just going to stick with the fact that it's Highland and just like ignore that. And I don't really feel like, I don't know what kind of good story can come out of that. I feel like Ganondorf here will have to be like the only male. I feel like that's kind of a dumb thing, honestly. Sometimes, you know, like the 100-year rule that a male only be born after 100 years and something like that. And there hasn't been one in a while and stuff like that. I don't know about that.
What I also find funny is that the Gerudo's going out of their ways to find other races to mate with. But how have they held such an amazing Gerudo lineage? And all of them look more or less the same.
I guess this question might get answers with Ganondorf coming into the picture or might not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you don't sure.
I don't
You don't
sure.
well do know.
I just know for sure that I'm happy Ganondorf is back in his human form, and I hope he will be fun and interesting as he's always have been, maybe even more.
And I hope he's actually coming back to human form.
I'm actually hoping the game is going to be really evolved around your relationship with this villain, because I feel like he's so much gone during the games. Like, even Ocarina of Time, where he was the main villain, you don't see him until midsection of the game and late game, and that's it. You see him a bit more in Twilight Princess, just barely, and then you see him a little bit in the end in Wind Waker and a little bit in the beginning. That's about it. It's like, you never really get to have a dynamic with the villain like you do with Girahim, you know? He's the first boss. Goddamn first boss, the main villain. Like, whoa, what's this?
And Girahim is one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
Picture a Girahim like Ganon. How fun would that be?
It would be fun, but I'm thinking, when you say that to me, I'm thinking like a villain that's present. I'm not thinking a guy who was bombastic like Girahim was.
I want another
I,
Girahim.
Girahim was great, but I feel like what made him so great is that he had a personality and he had an ongoing villain relationship with Link throughout the game.
But Ganon has a tendency to find the most interesting personalities to,
Higher.
yeah,
Yeah, he definitely
or
does.
to essentially bribe.
Yeah. I just like even Zant as well, you know, he was actually there during the game, you know. He was actually somewhat actually having a presence. And I just want that from Canada for once. You know, I want him to actually be able to thwart your plans, ruin your day, maybe even defeat you during the game, and you have to prove yourself strong to be able to face him again. Like, I want that sort of villain from him, not just being a scheming mastermind who sends all his goons at you.
Yeah.
It's such an old a formula, and I feel like Breath of the Wild as a concept is about breaking the norm.
Yeah.
It should be breaking the norm with Ganondorf too.
Yeah.
Even if it's just human form, it shouldn't do the same thing we've expected out of human Ganondorf all these years.
And guys, get underground out of your head. It might happen, but please let's also hope for another sky-based Zelda game. That there's something to do with that, because that's such an interesting thing to me that it's only been seen like a few times. But it would it would more explain to me why Rito and Sora is living in the same world and same timeline. If there's a Sky City, what if the Rito that we see are descendants of
Skyloftians.
yeah, or the birds themselves?
Yeah, the birds themselves, maybe.
Yeah, that you see in Skyward Sword.
I want dungeons.
Yeah,
I want dungeons back.
and I want the holy Skyloft bird back, because it was such a big deal in Skyward Sword. There was just such a soul bond, and the fact that they just left, and the fact that you still see remnants of the symbol on the Hylian shield and stuff, but it's never mentioned. No one mentions them, and I'm like, there has to be something. And I'm hoping we get a hint of something like that in Breath of the Wild too, because I miss that. I don't love Skyward Sword, but I love the feeling of Skyward Sword in a way.
Yeah, I could bring back some of that. I don't know how a fly mechanic would work in something like Breath of the Wild. I feel like it's too ambitious to do. Kind of ruin the balance.
I don't think you need a flying mechanic, but maybe they evolved into more humanoid, because they were apparently birds of the goddess or something that she put there, so she could have turned them more humanoid.
Yeah, we're not the first time we've seen something like that happen in the
No.
Zelda universe. So yeah, definitely. And I want more enemies, more fun enemies. Give me the Dark Nut. If I don't get the Dark Nut, I riot. I'll riot.
And
Give
I'm
me the
hoping for Skull Kid.
Skull Kid,
Maybe not the specific Skull Kid,
but Skull Kids.
yeah, because you have the Lost Woods, and that's another thing I wanted to point out that I want to talk more about in a later episode where we want to discuss this game again and go more into the theories and stuff. But where did all the Dark Knight Skull Kids and more intelligent fairies like Navi and not just the healing fairies, where did all of these go?
Yeah, and where did all the plant-based enemies go? And I just feel like now they get the opportunity to add more enemies and more things that we associate with Zelda in a world like Breath of the Wild. I feel like it's just gonna be so much more to do. Yes, I can't wait for this game.
Because I get it if a lot of these things went close to instinct because of the Ganon thingy, but what if we see a lot more of these because the world will now be blooming more?
Yes, we'll be seeing a lot more.
I hope that happens.
I hope that the world gets rebuilt. Like the focus on the previous game was resurrection. Focus on this game is ascension.
Yeah,
rebuilding.
Rebuilding, yeah.
Rebuilding and not resurrection, but the rising.
Rise of Hylia.
Rise of the Phoenix, rising from the ashes.
Yeah. I want to see it being rebuilt. I want to see the things that we have started falling in love with in Breath of the Wild get better. and more things happen. I want variety, and I want more love for the game.
Yeah, I agree. So
I already love it. There's few things they can do to really fuck it up if the mechanics are similar to the first game.
I totally agree to that. Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be great. I just know it. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. So again, as always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a like. It's on YouTube. It's a video.
Okay, fine, sure. Yeah. Well,
Thanks for listening.
Excellent.
Thanks for sticking around. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Ring the bell thingy. Click the little icon.
Do the same thing.
Do that.
Ring bell. Just hit that.
The
Smash that sub button.
Just annihilate it.
Do a bomb glitch throw straight into that sub button.
Perfect.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. In the world of gaming, there's a lot of